All right. So good evening, guys. Please, I think I will really have to make someone a co-host. Okay. So, right. So, I'm Ian Olusegun my name, and today we'll be looking at auto layout in Figma. It's not really something that is that much. We'll just be looking at these four tips. What an auto layout is, why use auto layout, where to use auto layout, and then we'll go into practical session of using auto layout. I know this is where everybody really wants to enjoy. Everybody sha wants to be dragging shapes and screens and everything should be flowy. So, however, it's good to understand these first three parts so that you really know why you are doing what you're doing. So, beyond the practical, there is a need for us to understand the theoretical aspect of UI UX also. So, we'll be spending few minutes on this theoretical aspect before we dive into the practical session. Then we would have a nice time over there. So, let's begin. So, what is auto layout? Okay, so briefly, the reason why it's called an auto layout is because when you make use of it, there is this beautiful stuff that happens to your design. Your designs can grow to fill up the container or to grow to fill up uh, the frame, and at the same time that same design that is growing can also shrink to fit. So something that is of, let's say, 1080 px before can shrink to fill up, can shrink to a size of 200, 400, and then it will still look beautiful and attractive. And at the same time, I think the last class when we had a meeting like this, I was telling us that the reason why we create components is so that we'll be able to effect changes throughout our design. So when you combine components and auto layouts together, what I'm trying to say is when your main component is actually designed with an auto layout to reflect a change to your design, you just have to reflect the change or make the changes in the main component. And because it's an auto layout, it automatically balance well on every other sprint that that component was actually used in. So, and then the last one is it accommodates evolution. So let's say, for example, in let's say in 2020, you are working in an organization and then they felt uh, the icons they'll be using, they want it to be 24 by 24 icons. And let's say coming 2023, they're like, oh, let's reduce those icons to 16px icon. Now, because when you were initially designing your primary application or your web page, you design those things in auto layout. Changing it from 24 to 16 is not going to affect your entire design negatively. In fact, it will just make everything to fit perfectly. Now that is what auto layout is. Auto layout is what makes your design accommodate evolution or accommodate changes. Is the reason why you can make changes in your component and then it flows easily well with every other design on your board, and then at the same time you can shrink that design, you can make that design to grow. So why should you use uh auto layout? Why should Is it compulsory that I use auto layout, or there's no need? Is it something that uh, is necessary as a UI UX designer, or I should just be adding screens, adding shapes, adding text. So the first thing is it makes your design responsive. So I know most UI UX designer, or let me say we the beginners, we really love to one day create a kind of screen that you squeeze, and then all the way from that desktop version, everything will start squeezing and squeezing, and then need to squeeze perfectly into the mobile version. So the reason why that is able to happen is because the design was actually created using auto layout. So and it's so is what actually ensures that the the look and the function of your design across different devices, let's say mobile, desktop, everything works together, and that is what makes a responsive design. So the second one is time efficiency. uh, so instead of creating each cards and making corrections to them one by one, let's say you want to create four cards, or let's say four product cards. So instead of creating those cards one by one, expanding them one by one, trying to ensure that the text fits perfectly into those cards, just by using auto layout, you can save your time. You can uh, um, be time efficient. So rather than spending maybe 2 hours doing a job, you could have just make use of auto layout and spend less than 2 hours doing that same job. So and also is it aids consistency. Now the part of the consistency is one issue that is general amidst we uh, beginners in UI UX, and consistency in the sense that, let's say, in between the header section and then the banner, you would see maybe 16px, and then between the banner and, let's say, uh, the product display, you would see 24px, and the spacing will no longer be consistent. However, if you're using auto layout, or let's say uh, me and someone, we actually working on a product together, maybe the when the person uses auto layout, uh, the person ensure that the spacing between those items are 8px. So there is an image, there is a text, there is a button. In between the image, the text, and the button are 8px, 8px. Now, if every one of us are using auto layout, we can easily just agree that in between our text, we make use of it, and that consistency is going to reflect throughout our entire design. So there is easy iteration. Iteration means when you go over things again. So going over things again in your design, if you are using auto layout, makes the work easy. Okay, makes the work easy. And then in situations where you are collaborating with people, when you're working in teams, the fact that all of you are using auto layout makes collaboration easy. There won't be an issue of somebody saying my card is bigger than his card, or those kind of thing won't be occurring. So it saves inconsistency or disagreement even between teams. So and then future proofing, like I said the other time, it accommodates evolution. So if you want to future proof, or you want to save yourself ahead of the future in your design, so that you won't be stressed coming months from now, or weeks, or years from now, there is a need for you to use auto layout. All right, so the last part we'll be talking about is where to use auto layout and where not to use auto layout. So uh, it's actually a funny question. I just decided to add it. So where should you use auto layout? Where should you not use auto layout? So if you were creating anything in UI, that is the user interface, this part that we are seeing on our Figma, if you were creating anything at all, the button, the cards, the list item, the banner, everything needs to be created in auto layout. So the only case, or the only scenario where you won't be needing auto layout is probably when you just want to make a quick sketch, or probably you are really out of time and you just want to make a design and just boom, let it go. It's not like you want to launch that design. You just want to create something for fun. So that is when you shouldn't use auto layout. But apart from those two scenarios, the first one when you want to make a quick sketch, the second one when you are really out of time, and at the same time the design you're making you won't be launching that design, then you can go ahead and just create your shapes and everything without involving auto layout at all. All right, so I hope to this point we are clear. So that's the theory part of auto layout, and uh, we can now go into the practical session. So sorry. So sorry about that. Um, all right, so in auto layout, there are three things you need to keep in mind, and is it three? So let's count. That's this part. So the first one is the alignment. You need to keep your alignment in mind. You need to keep your this frame part in mind, and then under this frame part we have the resizing part. You need to keep that in mind. And there is this part of auto layout. I know where we want to work with is really this part, but there is no way this part would function effectively without this frame part and this alignment part. And at the same time, there is this last one that is not currently showing, that is constraint. So the constraint also works hand in hand with auto layout, and then we'll be checking each and every one of those things together. So in auto layout, so let's start with this. In auto layout, the first thing you'll be seeing here is the vertical layout. Now, to create a vertical layout, it's simple. So let's say we have a box like this. Sorry, Fadikemi, can you confirm if you can see my screen? And everybody's hearing me very well.
Yes, I can see your screen. I
All
can
right,
see your screen.
thank you. So let's say we have a box, okay, and then we duplicate this box. No, let's put it here so that we would understand the concept. So let's say we have something like this. Now, if I highlight everything and I put them in auto layout, at the moment, this is, I want to be sure everybody understands vertical and horizontal. So this is vertical, and then when you have this, is horizontal. So this at the moment is an horizontal view, and that was why this uh arrow, this forward arrow, is currently on is it pressed now. So however, if I click on this, it's going to change it to a vertical layout. So in between this and this, we have a vertical and horizontal. I know this is the tool that most people use the most, and only few really use this wrap, because when you click on wrap, nothing really happens, and everybody like, oh, nothing has happened. So let me go back to my vertical and horizontal. So this is what the wrap is for. So when you click on wrap and then you squeeze this part, can you see what is happening? So for everybody that have been trying to create cards, especially all these product cards, what you ought to have used is the wrap. It makes your work easy. So you ought to have just created, let's say, let's say this is a card, and then this is another card, and then the way your card is okay. So let's say this is, the cards, uh, okay, and you want to achieve something like this. I know what some people usually do most times is they will click on this, they will create this auto layout, and then after creating this auto layout, they will now duplicate this one. They will bring it down here, and then they will duplicate this one again and duplicate this one again. They will now highlight everything and put everything in auto layout. This is wrong. Okay, as you can see, it's having horizontal spacing, but there's no vertical spacing between them. And that's why if you shrink this, uh, if you are increasing this, it's going to be affecting only the horizontal part because these stores are joined together horizontally. They are not joined together vertically. So your cards are not really together. However, if it's something like this, what you ought to have done initially is just create your cards, duplicate them, and be consistent in their spacing. Okay, the last one. So, and then by the time you highlight everything and put them in auto layout, put them in wrap, and then easily you can do this. So we've achieved the same thing without stress. Now, if you check, if you highlight this, you'll be seeing both vertical and horizontal space between, and then you can easily edit them. You can put this to 16, boom, everything correct. And then if you feel like you want to do it separately, no big deal. So I put this in. Okay, so this is 16. You can put it in 24. And then it's not going to affect this other one. You can put this in 12. So anyhow you like it. So that is for horizontal, vertical, and wrap. So I've explained these three for us. And come in. Okay, so I've explained the vertical, I've explained the horizontal, I've explained the wrap. Coming to stacking order and absolute positioning, I know uh, we don't make use of these features most times. However, you would have seen some cards that look something like this online, and you're like, how did they create this stuff? So let's say something like this. So this something like this. Okay, duplicate. Okay, and then duplicate. Then you like, how did they create this kind of stuff? Blah blah blah. In the real sense, what they did was a stacking order thing. But I won't be going into this. I'll just explain how the stacking orders work, and you would understand. So let's say we have a box. Okay, then let's duplicate this box and duplicate this box. I love my blue. So let's pick number. Hey, in fact, acquire skills have a good color choice. I love this too. They really fuse together. Okay, so sorry. All right, so if you put this in auto layout, an option comes out for this. Now you would see last on top, and if you make it drop down, you'll see first on top. Now the usefulness of these two is which one is the first um, rectangle in the auto layout, this ash color. So that means if I squeeze this thing to go towards a negative spacing between them, what I want to achieve is I want this first one to always be at the top. So let's click this and then squeeze this. Sorry, this will be fill. I want sometimes to see what we, or we'll get to this fill and whatever. So have I not made a mistake? Okay. Oh, sorry. Negative. So the spacing between them, if you want it to go towards the negative part, don't forget we've set this to be first on top. So this will be like this, and then the one that will be at the top always will be this. Okay, now currently this is the one at the top, followed by this, followed by this. However, if I create the same thing to have the last on top, everything will change. This one becomes the last one, will be on top of this other two, and this other two will be behind this last one. So this is how some people usually do all this animation of cards, uh, ATM cards that are always behind each other, and you're like, oh, how did they do this? So this is the stacking stuff they use. They just change the spacing between them to the negative value. So as you can see, this is currently a negative value. So the more you increase the negative value, the more this one is going to appear on top, and the more you increase this more will also appear on top. Okay. All right. So that's for stacking order, or it's called the stacking order or cover stacking. Yeah. So uh, and then the last one we'll be talking about, or let me say, before we go into alignment, is absolute positioning. So this was initially um, not in Figma. So they added the feature, and the day I saw it, I was like, what was this stuff by? Eh? Every time I try to click on it, everything is just scattering. So when you want to use absolute positioning, just have it in mind that you want to put something inside an auto layout, but you don't want it to flow with the uh, alignment of whatsoever is inside that initial auto layout. So what I'm trying to say is, let's say we have uh, let's say we have a sphere like this way. Okay, so let's say we have something like this, and let's add an image. Okay, beautiful. Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Okay, so let's say we want to add a green whatever to show the person is online. So we would add this to it, right? So it's always something like this, and then to green. Okay, so let's highlight the two, and then we can put it in auto layout. Now, this for this one to always be at this point whenever I'm expanding this. So okay, so should we do this also? Okay, so for this one to always be at this point whenever we are expanding this object, there is a need for this to be in absolute positioning, and then we can now bring this. Sorry, oh, I just removed it from absolute position. So okay, it has been added already. So this is how to add absolute positioning. It's here. Okay, so we can now bring this and drag. Now you can put this anywhere, just anywhere you like it to be. So, and then you need to set the constraint. The constraint is currently at the right and the right top. So whenever I'm dragging this, so as you can see, even though it has a limit that you can drag it to, but it will always be at this point. Okay, so okay, good. So that was what we wanted to achieve. So it will always be at this point, always, like always. And that was because it's currently on absolute positioning. It just means following the pattern of this, I really just want to change where this one will look into. On normal terms, if you are done a normal auto layout for these two circles, so let's have two circles. So let's say this is one. I just want to show us what really happened. What is in Okay, so on normal things, if you are done auto layout for these two circles, where is it all? Okay, so if I highlight these two and put them in auto layout, Figma automatically add this to an absolute positioning. But if I remove it from absolute positioning, now this is auto layout, and that's because currently there's now a space between them. So what absolute positioning did was it removed this space, and then wherever this stuff is located, now as you can see, the space has been removed. So It remove that space, but it helps you bring this one into wherever you like for this. So anytime you are expanding this, sorry, I'm here to fill it. Fill container, fill container, because of this. Okay, so anytime I'm expand center, center. So it will always be just at the center, no matter how much you expand it. Bloom. So that is absolute positioning, and I hope we are clear. Good. So let's not have too much Spider-Man in our screens. All right. So, but let me show us another example. I know some of us would have seen this kind of floating action button. This stuff was actually created using absolute positioning. So, come, I want to be generating icons now. Let's duplicate this. Boom. So let's say we have something like this. What's this one here? So let's say we have something like this, and then we needed something like this to be somewhere here. Okay, so we can bring it down a little bit and highlight. Yes, do the wrong thing. So okay, good. Now, if you notice, let me fill it up so that you see what is really happening. Now, if you notice, it's separated this from this. Currently, there's a spacing between them of 0. So if I increase this space, you would see that happening. But what I want to do is I want this to be on absolute positioning. So if I click on this, the space between them, which is currently 13, will be deleted. So boom, space deleted, and then I can now drag this to wherever I want this to be. So I think I love this, even though I've not seen many bars like this. So this will be 16, then this will be 16. Okay, that's good. I love this. Okay, then we can put this in the middle. Boom. So this is how they created this 14 or whatever. So if you want to have something like this, you definitely have to use absolute positioning. Don't forget, we are still explaining auto layout. Eh? And then we'll get to the part of the shrinking and shrinking. All right, so alignment for your auto layout to work perfectly, I think that is also one thing you need to know how to do. So this is alignment. Let me just explain here. Um, I love this box. So let's duplicate the box. So let's say we have this in a frame. So okay, so as you can see, I'm expanding, but this stuff is currently fixed at this edge. The reason why this stuff is fixed at this edge is because at this space, this alignment part, it's currently in aligned top left. So this is the top, this is the left side. So forever and ever, amen, this stuff will be around this side as far as this part is what I clicked on. If I click on this, sorry, if I click on this, it will change it to the middle. Now this currently is currently at the middle, and what happen is no matter how much I expand this, it will always be at the middle, always and always. Now if I change that same thing to this, no matter how much I increase this, it will always be down, 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 down. And then lastly, if I put it here, no matter how much I increase this, it will always be by the left side. So the kind of thing we do in Word, like uh, Microsoft Word, that would say, where's the text? They will say something like the, okay, and they will say align to the left, okay, align to the left side. So no matter how much we shrink this, the text will always be by the right. It's the same thing for this. It's not a big deal. So, and we'll put it in center. So no matter how much you shrink this, the text will always be at the center. And then if you put it here, no matter how much you shrink this, it's always be by that side. Okay, so that's for alignment. And then under alignment, we now have one funny alignment. Where is it? Oh, okay, good. We have this um align text baseline. Align text baseline is, not to confuse us, it's when you have let's say you have an image, so I would understand what I'm saying. Let's say we have this. Mm, let's say we have oops. So let's say we have this, and then we have a text. Mm, so let's say this is 64. So align baseline, as you can see, currently this is the baseline of this text, but this is the baseline of this circle. It's not bad if the two are in the middle like this, no biggie, nobody's against it. But if you feel like you want them to be having same baseline, like everything should be touching this part, then you can simply just put them in an auto layout, then come to this place and mark baseline. So at the moment, both of them are having, oh, sorry. Okay, so this will be fake. Okay, as you can see, both of them are currently having same baseline. This is I've forgotten. There's a reason why this one is coming out. Is the wife, is the family of this one that is affecting this. But currently, both of them are having same baseline, as you can see. The Y is now aligning with this, so that's for that. But most times people don't use that, so it's not compulsory. Me, I don't even like the way this stuff even look like. So it's not a big deal that you know how to use that. Okay, so that is practically all you need to know about auto layout. And then the resizing. Okay, this is the part that people quite have challenge with. Uh, Everybody wants to do something like this. Okay, put it in remove minimum amount. Okay, everybody wants to have something like this. Yeah, put it in something. Okay, not noticed. So everybody wants to be doing something like this. It should be flowing. It's not compulsory. It's not flowing. Don't go and Jomo. It's affect your project. Okay, so let's create something like this, and we use that to explain resizing. Okay, so which example can we use? So okay, let's use, let's have something like this. So let's say we have something like this, and uh, okay, so let's say it's like a movie card. Okay, so there was something I actually forgot. There is a difference between, I need to explain that briefly. There's a difference between this. As you can see, the way I'm expanding this image is fitting perfectly into that without even adding auto layout. This is just the image. So there's a difference between this and when you do something like this. Uh, Sorry, let me bring that in. An image to have something like this. Now, for example, at the moment, this is perfect, but this is not yet filling the container. So let's check this one to fill the container, and then we start having something beautiful. So uh yes, so we can have this, the same thing we did. First you create the frame, create the frame, add the image, uh, coming. So add the image. Now you would notice the image itself is uh, responding very well to the movement. So if I'm moving it, the image is well centered and is moving in the right path. However, if you are not using fill, let's say you are using uh, a drag and drop, is let's say a drag and drop, or let's say you're dragging okay, so let's say you're dragging this into, let's say you're dragging this, okay, this picture. Now if you drag and drop, you would see it's still responding the same way. So either you use the frame or you use the drag and drop. But if you do something like this, you draw a rectangle, you fill it up with the same image, okay, it's still going to respond the same way, okay. But all these three are different from when you uh have the image and then you, sorry, let me delete this. They are different from when you have the image and then you create a frame around it. Once there is a frame around it and you start dragging, it doesn't work the same way, okay. So don't forget there is a frame around this one and it's working perfectly, but the same frame is around this but it's not working the same way. So to make this work the same way is when you click on this image and then you change this constraint from left to left right, and then you change this top also from top to top and bottom. Now if you start moving, it's going to respond the same way, okay. So let me just explain that briefly. And then we have this part. Let's duplicate this to have this. So at the moment this is responsive, but let's ungroup them and start from the beginning. Okay, so now they are ungrouped, and then we have this button. Let's put that here. So let's join all this together. First, these two text, let's add it in an auto layout. So let's make this from fixed horizontally to fill container horizontally to fill up this frame 39, and this one from fixed to fill up the container 39. So we have this already, okay. Now they are responsive, okay. So let's add everything together with this button auto layout, and then make this button from fixed also to fill up the container to have this, okay. Now the button is responsive but this text is yet to respond, and that was why at the moment is in fixed. So change from fixed to fill container, and then we can now have everything responding with to one another and moving the same way. So let's add this picture to it. We click on that and then we'll shift A, everything all together 71, change it to 16. Then this one also is currently in 38. Let's change it to 16. 24 will be okay. Okay, so we have this. Permission to delete this. Okay, so at the moment this is in fixed. So let's change it to fill container, and then let's see what is happening. So this part is yet to fill up the container, so we can click on this, is in fixed, and then make it fill container. So we now have perfect flow between every single content of frame 41. So that's about this. For the last part, which is okay, so let's create something like this, and then where everything is responding, though correct this, but let's just create something like this where everything respond perfectly to the screen size or the frame size. Sorry. So we already have this box. Let's just bring it outside. Don't duplicate it and group it. So I'll create it from scratch. Okay. So let's change the text to black so I will see what I'm doing. Okay, so we have this, and then they are currently separate. So first thing, you need to put this in an auto layout. Good. And then let's fill up the auto layout so that we would have a better view. Okay, so you're padding around. Let's make this 24 and then make this 24. Good. So this will change it to fit container horizontally, and then this will change to fit container horizontally. Good. So vertically, we'll leave it in org to have this. So let's change the text to white so we'll see how it's changing. All right, good. So we have this. Then we can bring it inside here. Let's fill it perfectly into that grid. Okay, so we have this, and then we can duplicate this to have this. Then we can duplicate it twice, so to have this, and then we can make their settings from constraint left to left right, from this to left right, from this to left right, from this to left right. Okay, so that means if we are squeezing this, it begins to work perfectly and everything fits into one another no matter how many times we squeeze it. So perfect. Now we have that, and then the next one is the image. So let's add the image a frame. So I'm bringing the frame here. Let's put it here. Then we can add a feed, change it from this to image, and then we have something like we have something like this. I'm trying to look for a good one. So we have something like this. Okay, good. And then let's reduce the exposure. Okay, so then we have a text also. A text. Let's bring the text from there because of the font. Okay, so we can duplicate this and bring it inside this frame. Center the line. Center the line. Good. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so and then let's set this from constraint left to left and right. So if we at the moment squeeze this, let's see what we are going to get. So at the moment it's not responding well to this, so let's return it back, but at least we know what we are working towards now. So we can make this and auto layout. Okay, and then sorry, let's see now, still not responding to it. So this one also to top bottom. Then let's see how it's responding now. Still not responding. So uh, so let's put all that into an auto layout. Let's make this an auto layout, change it from left to left right. Okay, then let's add this to the auto layout. Okay, then make this into a fill container, and then center the line. Okay, and then this to left right. All right, so let's see how it's functioning now. No, this is yet to function very well. So this to fill container. Okay, so let's see how it's working now. No, not yet. The images. Okay, at the moment they are set to fixed. So we need to change them to fill. Okay, so anyone that you see that is not working very well, that is the one you would most likely need to edit. So let's see how it's working now. Aha, good to go. Now it's working perfectly. No matter how much I expand the screen, just continually sit perfectly into it. So let's take it back to 1440. Okay, 1440. Okay, good. So we have this. And then for the last image, so let's say we have an image frame. Okay, and then let's say we have this. Let's say we have this. Now let's add a text to it, like a description or whatever. Let's use this. Duplicate. So we can drag this to here. Expand this. Okay, good. So we have this. So let's pick this to add them into an auto layout. Make this picture fill container. Make this text fill container. They are in org, and then this one too is in fixed. Let's make it uh fixed height. No, let's make it fill. No, no. Okay. Let's make it. This should be fixed or fill container. The fill container, and let's see how it functions. Okay, good. So it's functioning just the way we want it. This is currently 23. Let's change to 16, and then we have this. So perfect, right? Good. Uh, so one other thing. At the moment we have how many grid system? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8 grid system. But let's say we want to put a seven, no, a let's say we want to arrange a 9 or set of image here. So let's duplicate this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and then let's highlight the two. I mean everything. Okay, and then press on K, reduce their size. Okay, so let's drag it into this and then let it fit into the grid system that we created initially. So we have this, right? So at the moment, if you work on this and then you V and then you squeeze it, you would see that those things are not squeezing very well, they are not entering each other very well. At the same time, it's overlapping this. So that is what we want to correct. So first, let's bring out all this. Sorry. And because the number of images on this line is much more than the what's it called, much more than the number of grid column grid that we created. So that means we need to create a grid personally for this. So first thing, you put this in an auto layout, let everything be in an auto layout, and then you will make this to fill everything to fill to fill, make this fill container. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. So, and then we can change this to fill. Is a fill. All right. So let's see how this is responding. If it's responding very well. Okay, it's responding very well. Good. And now to work on the grid system, you would add a layout grid, you would add a column, change this to column, and then how many images? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Change the count to 9. Now for the gutter, check the spacing between these two items. Currently the spacing between them is 27. So for the layout grid, uh, the stretch should be 27. Okay, so you can now bring this into this. Good. 27, and then we can add it to this auto layout, and then uh let's test it now. Okay, so it's still not functioning very well, so let's make this uh fill container, and then make this fill container. Good, good, good. This 64. Good, good, good. So let's check how this is functioning now. Something is still missing. So okay. Uh, sorry, coming. Okay, so the constraint. Okay, so the constraint from left to left, right, and then this also left, right. Then we can add everything into an auto layout. Make sure this one is in fill, and let's see how this is going to function. So this is being fill also. So let's see if we've gotten our result. No, not yet. Okay, so let's see what's wrong. Okay, so I think what is wrong is the constraint for this. So the constraint for this is in left initially. Let's put it to left and right, and then this one to top and bottom if we like. So this is already responding, but these are yet to respond. So let's change it from fixed to fit container. Good. So now we have this made, and then every single one of them is responding very well, both to the grid and at the same time to the uh, auto layouts that are created within them. So we have this. Now, if you view this on any other platform, this is currently a desktop version, but if we prototype this on a mobile version, let's pick a mobile version. So if we present this on a mobile version, let's see how it's going to look like. iPhone Pro, and then we can preview. Okay, so don't forget this is a desktop version, but let's preview it on a mobile phone. So we are going to end the class there. Okay, it's loading, it's loading, it's loading. A few more seconds, hopefully. My data is out. Sorry. Uh, so it should be loading anytime soon. Okay, so it's done loading. Uh, and this is it on mobile. Even though this is a desktop size uh frame, it's actually viewing perfectly on mobile. And if I start expanding this, if I expand this, it's going to fit perfectly into the frame. Can you see? So though it takes some times to load, but that most likely will be because of my network. So at the same time, if you squeeze it like this, it's still going to sit perfectly into the mobile. So that's for the mobile. At the same time, we can view this same thing on tablet version. We can view it on every other version. So let's try one more. Let's say uh,
Apple's watch. Let's say Apple's watch. So this is the size of an Apple's watch, and then a desktop version stuff is fitting inside. So if I squeeze it, it's still going to squeeze. Good. So that's the way it's going to look like on uh, an Apple's wristwatch. So at the same time, if I expand it, it's going to expand and fit perfectly into it. Okay. So that's it. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining the class.